guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Apex. So today, episode 2, we're talking about first race of the season, Bahrain.
Yep.
You know, everyone was so hyped about first race of the season. So I mean, you know, from what we saw, it was quite a good race. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the main race was with the midfield. I think it's pretty clear that Red Bull have complete dominance over this season.
Yeah.
Well, first half anyway, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the midfield, it was one hell of a race.
Yeah, no, it was. Obviously, they just it was really good to see, wasn't it? Because where were McLaren in terms of they weren't right there.
No, they weren't. No. We'll get onto that. But McLaren, even though we were 20th and 17th. I think we might need to get timers up, but
it was every time that
Lando pitted
someone's
6
DNF'd
times,
and you were like, Lando should not last.
Upper place.
Yeah.
But yeah, even I am staying positive-ish because we did show pace, especially when Lando was out, especially straight after the pits when the car was working okay. He did show pace. He could stick with, I think it was Hamilton.
Yeah.
Obviously lapped, but he could stick with him. So I'm keeping my positive high, but I don't think it's going to be a good start to the season, that's for sure.
We'll see. We will see. Right, so should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so we're going to go through the teams from last year's constructors, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to start with Red Bull.
It was dominance, wasn't it?
It was just Max's race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they were, the Jean-Pierre Lambiase was coming over the radio and just saying, look, Max, slow down. Yeah. It was, because they want to obviously manage the engines, because if they do lose pace throughout the season, then they're going to want to keep the engines, but
it was just, once again, it was just Red Bull's top tier show, wasn't it? So they were 38 seconds ahead.
Yeah. Of P3 as well.
38 seconds.
38 seconds is ridiculous. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, obviously, Saudi Arabia, because the Ferraris...
No, I was just going to say, Max has got a stomach bug. Did you see that?
Yes, yeah. So, to clarify, we're recording this the day before FP1 in Saudi. We took a bit of a break.
Yeah, I've been a bit ill, so...
Yeah, so we're... So there has been obviously new stuff come out as well. Max got a stomach bug. He should be in Saudi tomorrow.
By Friday, I think he said it.
Yes. So it will be interesting to see if he can actually do anything about it.
I think
it's Max. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, got a stomach bug, but he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
But look, I think Bahrain's always an outlier. I think because of the tyre deck. Ferrari were just sliding everywhere. They were. They had no grip around the corners, according to Leclerc. And maybe in Saudi it'll be better because obviously deck's really low.
Yeah. So it'll be different. So it'll be interesting to see, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be closer. Yeah. But it's just dominant, isn't it? It's an Adrian Newey masterclass.
It is. But then again, that makes, like, we are not talking about Aston Martin right now, but you know, Adrian Newey talked about Aston Martin being...
And they're very clearly...
2 and 2 together,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know.
We will get on to Aston Martin, but you can see that they went down Newey's philosophy and clearly it's worked. They're quicker than the works team, so yeah, it is just... and they're going to carry on developing.
100%.
I think if Max doesn't win this championship this year, it will be ridiculous. And it will be one of the best comebacks from either Ferrari or Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say.
It is very strange to say, but...
Yeah. So we'll go to Ferrari.
If we move on to Ferrari, my God,
we're talking going race control, that kind of thing, you know, the fact that when he had to DNF, that was a virtual safety car.
Yeah, it was interesting.
They had marshals on track, didn't they?
Yeah, they had marshals on track. I mean, I guess because of the fact that the cars were so spread out, they could find areas, but I think a safety car was, I think everyone was saying at the time, it was kind of...
Yeah. Did they have any? Did you see any machines? They didn't have any.
No machines. They just built it up because that was probably why.
As to why they did that, because obviously they've had instances in the past where they had the machines.
Yeah, Japan.
So I think that will probably be one of the main reasons why they said, you know, like, we'll do a virtual safety car because we've only got marshals on track.
Just slow them down, roll the car back.
Yeah, it's like, just slow them down. They're enough apart for it to not be an issue.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I think the stat of the weekend for Ferrari was that their race pace was only 0.03 seconds quicker than last year, which says a lot.
It says a lot. It does. But I don't know. They are slower than Aston Martin.
They're slower than Aston Martin. I think Leclerc was outperforming that car. Sainz is where the performance of that car is, and it was slower than Aston Martin. Aston Martin could easily overtake them in race pace, and what extended to 4 seconds ahead of Sainz.
Yeah.
So look, who knows what Alonso would have been able to do if Leclerc was there.
That's what I mean.
That would have been very interesting.
Yeah.
I think there was a podium on merit there.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure though. I think we would have needed a few more laps, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he had like 13 laps before the finish.
So we would have needed about probably 10, 15 more. But I reckon you were right. We would have seen the podium.
Yeah.
So
I think.
So I think they just had the pace. Like he would have been able to easily overtake Leclerc.
Yeah.
And then.
And look, we can. I don't like hating on Ferrari because of their mistakes, but my God, in qualifying they didn't take Leclerc out on a second run to apparently save the tyres, but they did the qualifying lap early in the session. So they didn't wait for the track to rubber in, did the lap early and then just stopped. It didn't make sense to me.
No, and especially because they're race pace. They know they haven't got the fastest car on track. So, like, fair enough if you're going to like start lower down the grid on race day. But if you've got no race pace, then
it's pointless. Yeah.
If a Ferrari is starting in front of you, Aston Martin is starting in front of you, then it's like, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's not like.
And I mean, let's be real here. Leclerc could have been in front of Perez. I don't think he had the pace to get in front of Verstappen. He was a tenth and a bit off on his first lap against Verstappen. But it's
I don't know.
It's a weird decision.
I mean, it's like their strategy, isn't it? But like, I mean, I'm not obviously hating on their strategy. But
they've got a new strategist now, and it's still not there. So
it's different, and I'm not sure different is working.
No,
but we will see.
We will see. Look, they need time to bed in. They probably need a season. We won't be able to see Ferrari battling for the championship this year. I don't think.
Everyone's talking about Charles Leclerc being his.
Yeah.
He's in his power era, but I don't know.
I can't see it. I just cannot see it.
No, I mean, especially with the news. Obviously, what was the news?
There was one of their lead guys. I can't remember his name. It will come to me, but there is heavily rumoured to be leaving and going to Alpine.
Right. Isn't he starting?
Oh, so yeah, obviously Saudi again. Yeah. He's got a 10th place grip penalty.
There we go. That's fine. I thought that.
So the whole control electronics unit just mess. Over so he took he changed it from qualifying to race,
right? And
then it broke down in the race, and he's on his third one, and it's only the second race of the season, and he's already taken a 10th place grid penalty. This season couldn't have started off worse, could it?
No,
I mean,
it's not.
it's.
Oh God, what can you do?
What can you do? It's Ferrari.
It is. It's Ferrari. It is. So we'll move on to Mercedes now.
Christ.
Another
disappointment. I mean, I was really excited to see a battle between Red Bull, Ferrari, and Merc.
Yeah.
And Merc have screwed. The philosophy isn't there.
No.
And look, you can see from Hamilton, Russell, and Toto at the end of the races, they were furious.
Yeah.
And they want radical changes, and they want them now.
Because they were going to, in our other episode, they were going to change. What was it? It
was Baku, so they were going to come with a radical design.
Oh yeah, of course. That's what. Yeah.
And Toto's already saying that it needs to be sooner than that, possibly even Imola.
Because what are they waiting for at this point? It's like, I don't know.
I mean, somewhat I can understand their reasoning, because at the end of last year they were closing up. The philosophy was looking like it was just the bouncing that was causing the loss performance, and they got a 1-2 in Brazil on merit, apart from the Verstappen crash.
Yeah.
But I think it was looking up, and I do understand their position of, look, let's keep it and see what happens, but it just didn't work. No, and it hasn't worked. And they were 50 seconds off the pace in the end. Hamilton was 50 seconds off. Russell was behind Stroll, and it's not looking good for Mercedes. Bearing in mind they supply Aston Martin's engines.
Yeah, it was the same engine.
And they're behind them.
Well, it's like, don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good, and
it's not. I don't know. It's such a weird one, because honestly, I wanted to see them up there.
Oh, same. I mean, I'm not the biggest Mercedes fan in the world, but I would have loved to see a three-way battle for the championship, and we're not going to get it.
No. I think it's going to be a couple more years until we see that.
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, give them... Even if you give them 3 years, we're then at 2026 and a new regulation change.
Yeah.
I really think...
Probably do the millionaire.
Yeah. But look, I think it was last week that apparently they had an emergency meeting at Brackley, and that's never good. And look, could that be them making a decision to absolutely scrap off this year? trying to just stick with P4 because I think that's the best they're actually going to do this year.
I think so.
And
especially with Aston Martin.
Especially with Aston Martin, we're going to get onto them because Fernando Alonso. But yeah, I mean.
Really should insert that clip of you going, God!
Yeah, that was directly after the Alonso Sainz overtake, and I was loving life. But yeah, it's just.
Mercedes is just. Yeah, no, literally.
And if we go on to another team, honestly, the four teams in this section have been just disappointing.
It really has. It has.
I mean, Alpine. My God, their aims at the start of the season were to close the gap from top 3, and Aston Martin's completely jumped them all. And Gasly qualified P20.
Yeah.
It's.
We said that before, didn't we? We were like, Aston Martin have just thrown a pedal into this mix, and now obviously we're talking about all the, Alpine, really good team, really like possibly what was it on the fifth fastest car, but they would have been looking at more obviously if
Gasly, if Aston Martin hadn't jumped them, they would have been looking closer to P4, but it would have only still been P4
and just P5 at a push.
Now,
so
at a push, because look, we'll get onto them later, but Alfa Romeo, Bottas was P6 at one point after pitting. It wasn't even on merit. He was P6. He ended P8 somehow. It's a classic Bottas drive. We'll get onto it, but it's a classic Bottas drive of just getting in the points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he finished above Gasly as well.
Yeah, above Gasly, but look, Ocon's race.
Oh, we don't even.
It was. I think the only thing was
I think they accidentally got their finger stuck on like the button to like press to get like time penalty.
Yeah, just left it on.
The race directors like fell asleep like that.
Yeah.
And just kept getting time penalties.
It was.
I don't know. That was a bit of a shambles.
It was
to be honest.
penalty after penalty after penalty.
Because he went in and served his penalty, but served it wrong.
Served it wrong, and then when he went in again to serve his next penalty, he was 0.1 kilometres an hour over the speed limit.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was fun.
And then got another 5-second penalty. And then just retired at that point because there's no point in losing the engines. But yeah,
that was an interesting race round.
It was. But look, it was a good drive from Gasly.
Yeah.
P20 to P9. I mean, it was just a very background race, wasn't it? They never covered it. It was just P9 at the end of the day. And
like I want to say average, but I don't want to say average. But
it was an average drive. He was getting back to where he should have been.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was 4 retirements, so there was 4 cars he didn't have to overtake, even though he could have overtaken Lando pretty easily, I think.
Yeah.
Then it was a couple of Williams. We'll get onto them. Williams. Oh my God, the pace is there. But yeah, I guess he had to overtake the Williams. But again, it was P9.
I know.
He should have been there. The first race, P8.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't.
And
again, it will be. I think if you offered them P5 at the start of the season now, they'd take it instantly.
They'd take it instantly, 100%.
I think it will be an interesting battle between. I mean, we'll get onto it, but I think it's going to be probably a 5-way battle for P5.
I think so. Because you just don't know what to say.
On pace. I mean, you look at McLaren at the moment. We'll get onto them in a second, but the pace was there. They just had a horrific race with hydraulics.
Yeah.
That was the end. That was the story at the end of the day. But I think it just
don't know. It could go either way.
It could go anyway.
I don't know. Like even in the next race, like on Sunday, it's not going to show us.
No, absolutely not. We need to wait 5-6 races to see where everyone is. I think especially Spain will be a good teller of where everyone is. But yeah,
I just don't know. But on that note, we'll go on to McLaren.
It was a shambolic race. Quite frankly, that's what I put in the notes. I just put shambolic race. But the car had pace when it worked.
Yeah.
And I mean, Piastri was P8 at one point. I think it was because he was
Piastri. Yeah.
But still, he was having an all right race.
Yeah.
And then the car broke down. I think the gearbox went.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but again, they're going to make changes for Baku.
Yeah, so they're making big changes for Baku. Look, the whole team said, look, where we are now is not where we're going to be in 6-7 races time. It's just not. We are going to be closer to Alpine. I think that's the only place where we can really go for. But it's going to be a difficult start to the season. I think Saudi's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's different strategy, isn't it? Like Saudi to.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a long runner, long stint, and.
So obviously you've got tyres, different strategy, different everything's
different.
So it's just a whole new thing, to be honest.
But I mean, if you look at qualifying as well, I mean, how Lando managed to get that close to Q3, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the car just didn't look good at all. The both on Lando and Piastri on their best laps, they were fighting the car through turn 2. I saw, you need a car under you, and they don't have it.
No, they don't, and it's quite a shame, isn't it? Because
It's such a
had
shame.
it, didn't he, last year? So.
And I think, especially if we go, because obviously we've done this podcast 2 weeks after the race.
Yeah.
There has been rumours coming out about Lando's long-term contract.
Oh yeah.
And the rumour is that if McLaren aren't in the top 4 2 seasons in a row, Lando is free to leave. And I think that's very interesting, especially with rumours coming out that he wants to leave. And that's the question, where will he go? And I think we're going to have a lot of these kind of rumour talks in this podcast, but look...
Aston Martin?
Yeah, but again, I can't see Stroll's not leaving. He's in that team for life.
True, yeah.
And Alonso, he's
to be fair,
he's loving life.
They just add a third driver at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, what is Lewis going to be happy running P4?
No, because Lewis in an interview didn't he say that he's sticking on until he gets the 8th championship?
Yeah, so it was on the live sector before the race. He said, "Look, I'm going to stick on for my 8th." So there's not a seat there. I think the only seat, and I was talking to my parents about this. I think the only seat is Ferrari. And Charles Leclerc leaving Ferrari. And I'm going to put a bold statement out there.
This is like
I think 2025, Charles Leclerc will go to Sauber Motorsport.
Really?
Yeah, and I think he will, because obviously it's moving to Sauber next year, it's not going to be Alfa Romeo. I think he's going to be moving to Sauber, and in 2026, when Audi comes in, and Andreas Seidel is the team principal, they are going to be... Audi isn't coming into the sport to run as a back runner. They are coming into the sport to compete for championships. And I think that is a move that would entice Charles Leclerc. So, and then what, 2025, Lando to Ferrari?
Gosh, Lando and Sainz in Ferrari?
Carl Lando back at Ferrari.
Stop, no, we need to see this now. Can we just go...
Yeah, just skip past a couple of seasons.
Years.
When Verstappen's a 4-time world champion.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, I mean, look, going back to McLaren, this race,
It wasn't the one, really.
It wasn't the one. He pitted 6 times. It wasn't fun to see, and he was just running at the back. It was like a test session.
It was. For them, it definitely was. Yeah. But then on that note, we'll go on to Alfa Romeo.
Yes, and let's go on to Alfa Romeo.
Okay, so Bottas.
What an underrated drive.
It was amazing. In the points, above Gasly.
Yeah.
Like
unbelievable.
Absolutely unreal. Wow.
It just shows what an underrated driver Bottas is.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw at Mercedes that he couldn't compete over the long term against Hamilton, obviously.
So, and they had the car as well, didn't they, at that point in time.
So, but his qualifying solid and his race pace seems really good, and Alfa's does seem really good. I mean, Joe was P11, I think, if you quickly check the other way. I think he was P11.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Tsunoda. No, Joe retired, didn't he? No? Or he was just running at the back?
Just running at the back, so P16.
Yeah. But Bottas really solid.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, he as a driver, like, he's obviously, because he was at Mercedes, he was racing against Hamilton, wasn't he, at the end of the day, so he's a class driver.
And look at Williams, we saw he was an absolutely brilliant driver. He was getting podiums left, right and centre, and look... I think Alfa Romeo have the car, I mean they've proved it, they have the car underneath them to get points. Yeah. It's whether they can do it consistently.
Yeah.
And again, it's the start of the season. We saw last season, at the start of the season, they were flying. I mean, they were like P5 in the constructors at the start of the season, and then they dropped off. Yeah. But it will be interesting to see where that car kind of stays and where it will be, especially with Alpine in the mix and McLaren.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like they're all going to be in the mix for fighting for 5th.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's just going to be so interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, the midfield is going to be really interesting season, I think, because...
That's where it's going to be at.
100%. I think the battles this season, people are going to say this season's boring, and the season is always boring if there isn't a proper championship battle. Yeah. But the main kind of battles this season are going to be for either P3 or P2 and for P5. I mean, look, I think we're going to have Alpine, McLaren, Alfa Romeo and Williams in this fight for P5, and I think it's going to be really interesting over the whole season to see where this comes out. That's going to be so fun to watch as well, you know. Yeah, 100%. Like everyone's like, oh, it's boring, and Max wins all the time. Like, fair enough, it is. But you're going to have this such a great battle in the midfield that it's going to be like, oh my gosh. It's going to be really interesting to watch because look, with 4 teams right at the front, they're going to be scrapping over the lower end of the points. Yeah. And look, if we see like a classic Lando drive somehow getting into P6 or an Ocon drive getting into P4 somehow, as we've seen him do in the past, it will be interesting to see the kind of the swings in the constructors. And And look, even though it's not for the title, P5 is going to be interesting to see.
It will be, and I think all of them will be gunning for that P5.
100%.
So it's going to be interesting to see who puts in the most effort, I guess.
Yeah, and look, we are going to see Alfa Romeo change to Sauber next year.
Yeah.
There is going to be an increase in funding, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
So.
But I would like to put down a point. Joe underperforming. If this continues, could we see Teo Porcher take his seat next season?
Could we see, or do you want to see?
I want to see it, and look, I am just going to put it. Every time we talk about Alfa Romeo on this podcast now, I am going to go to Teo Porcher slightly, because my God, what a first race for him.
We watched the F2.
Yeah, we watched the F2. I was keeping up to date with qualifying because obviously I'm a massive Teo Porcher fan and a massive Victor Martins fan as well. I've spoken to him a couple of times. But qualifying he romped it. I think he was about 5/10 ahead.
Yeah.
And the race, he was just unbeatable. He was 12 seconds ahead in the feature race. That's.
I know, it's actually crazy.
It was a dominant race, and he went from P10 to P5 in the sprint race.
Yeah.
And it was just seriously solid. And I really hope this continues.
If we see that through the whole season,
he's got to have a seat. He's got to have a seat.
Yeah.
And look, we saw it last season. He was up there with Djokovic. He had really, really bad luck. And I'm just hoping this season there isn't any kind of I mean, Boschung had a really good race.
Yeah.
Campos is looking solid, but Ayati's there. I mean, Victor got on the podium in the sprint race. I'm really hoping Teo Porcher does well.
I think so. I think it all depends on Joe's performance as well. For this season,
yeah. And look, he had a good season last season.
He did.
But it was just decent.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything stellar. It wasn't.
Yeah. That in F1.
Yeah. It's not going to. You need to show yourself off, and I
100%.
think look. I think Teo's a better. Obviously, I would say that because of the bias.
Yeah.
But I do think Teo is a better driver than Porcher.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
Than Joe.
Than Joe, I think.
Not Porcher.
No, I think Porcher's better than Joe.
Yeah.
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 Going from one success to another.
Yeah.
Aston Martin. Oh my God. I am firmly strapped into the hype train. I am loving life as an Alonso fan, I would say.
We went into that race saying, do you know what, it'd be so good if we saw Alonso on the podium.
And look.
So good.
And then at the start of the race, when he dropped down to P7, he was running P7 for quite a while, and we were like, okay, maybe the hype train was just, look, maybe they will get P4. And that was what the hype train was for.
And then Charles Leclerc dropped out.
And then the second stint started. And Alonso came into his own. It was like 2006 Alonso again.
It was mad. It was just
and he was just flying. He was absolutely flying. And look, his overtake on Hamilton was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room was clapping.
Yeah. I think every long-lasting F1 fan watching that was very much oh my God, it's giving deja vu.
I mean, even me, even though I have quite a lot of knowledge and I love F1, I'm not a long-term fan. I started in 2020. Watched the British Grand Prix, amazing Grand Prix, but and that hooked me in.
Yeah.
But even I can appreciate how amazing Alonso is, and I'm loving life. I mean, it's incredible. I think I genuinely rate him up there as top driver of the grid.
I'm just going to say, in terms of Alonso and stuff, I read Lewis Hamilton's book, and obviously, in terms of their career, Hamilton's first stint in F1, and their battle and things, it's just so funny to see it now, because it's it was mad.
Oh, it was. And look, they portray themselves as acquaintances, I would say. They get on, apparently. I do not read into that at all. I think they are enemies. I think Alonso still sees Hamilton as the plucky little kid that came in McLaren in 2007 and completely destroyed as well.
I can literally remember that. Because I've been watching it for a hell of a long time, but I didn't really process what was what. But I can literally remember him in the silver and stuff. And he just dominated, and it was just I wanted to see that happen with Alonso.
Yeah, I wanted to see, because obviously Alonso has had the worst luck in career choices. I mean, he left Ferrari when it was looking bad, went to McLaren, and then Ferrari went up, McLaren went down, and that was kind of him written off for the next couple of years. But he's finally made a good career choice. He's went to Aston Martin. They're looking like the second fastest car overall in race pace and quality pace. and it's going to be so interesting.
I'm so excited to see.
Yeah, and look, they have kind of they've tried to maintain hype by saying, look, we're not looking to get podiums every race, but everyone's going to be wanting to see it. Everyone's going to be wanting to see Alonso up there, and I genuinely think Red Bull's got to have a bad race. Everyone's saying, look, can Max win every single race this season? I see it as very unlikely. I can't see it. I mean, with the Johnson at the moment, it's on the table, but I can't see it. Red Bull's got to have a bad race, and that's when Alonso will come and pick up the scraps.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think he will be always picking up the scraps unless they qualify really high. Then obviously they're going to have a great race. But I think it's always going to be it's going to be what's the word, like suspense.
Yes,
something's going to happen, which then means that he can then get on the podium.
Yeah.
But obviously they've got the faster cars, so they can get on the podium.
And look, there's going to be a wet qualifying. Alonso excels in the wet, so he's going to be up there. And I would, if I was to put any money on a driver outside of Red Bull to get a win this season, I would put it on Alonso.
Oh, so would I, 100%.
But then we've also got to talk about what a drive from Stroll.
Oh, I know.
What a drive from Stroll.
As well.
Yeah, we were talking about it in last podcast, and we were like, yeah, he's just a driver. He's not underrated. He's not overrated. He's just.
I take that back.
Yeah. But my God, what a drive! And look, he did have the mistake at the start where he hit Alonso. But again, I wouldn't say that was his fault. Alonso turned in a lot more direct and Stroll hit him. Yeah. But what a drive!
Yeah.
Ahead of Russell, overtook him on track with broken wrists and a broken toe.
I don't get it because they're in such a high, intense environment sort of thing. It's just like with broken wrists. Like I could probably be in bed. I would not even want to get up.
And look, after the race, he posted the photos of where he was 12 days ago, and it was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And it really shows anyone who said Stroll is only there to participate, and it just shows he isn't. He is a top driver. I still wouldn't say top driver.
Oh, no,
he is still a good driver at the end of the day. He's overhated and he's in a good car now. It shows Aston Martin does have pace.
Yes, it does.
And it will be very interesting because I do think now with Stroll gunning up the back of Alonso, they could really be in the fight for P2 here. And especially with the car's development, we haven't spoken about this yet.
Yeah.
In the summer, the aero cycles are going to be changed. Mm. So Aston Martin are going to have P6 or 7s aero time, whereas Red Bull are going to have P1s, and they're going to also have the penalty. So I think I read somewhere Aston Martin's going to have double the wind tunnel time. They're going to be gunning for this P2, and it's going to be so interesting.
I really want to see them at P2, to be honest. It's going to be really good.
It'll be one hell of a story, and especially going into next season as well.
Yeah.
But the Lawrence Stroll dream has come true. And
but he's just put so much money into investing into the best people, to build the best car, have the best strategy, have the best everything. Mm. It's just like it was always going to happen. Yeah.
And look, since then, so many stories have come out from Helmut Marko, especially. Yeah. Chats crap everywhere, but he has been saying that, especially in Brazil and Abu Dhabi, they were just seeing engineers fly away from Red Bull straight to Aston Martin.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's going to be telling. That's going to mean something. It's going to be very interesting.
Literally. Well, we'll move on to Haas now.
Yeah, and it looks so promising in qualifying. I mean, Magnussen didn't have the best qualifying, but Nico up there in P8.
Yeah.
Classic Nico qualifying.
It was. I don't really know what to say, to be honest.
And they just fell away.
You didn't really see much.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
And it was annoying because I really hoped for Haas this season. I really hoped that they were there and they were kind of in the range of points, but I really can't see it. And I think they are going to be P9. But I think if you offer them P8 now, they would take it. Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
They're definitely not going to be fighting for what this. I don't think they're going to be fighting for the same thing as Alfa Romeo and stuff.
No, I think they're going to be in a fight with AlphaTauri this year.
Yeah.
And look, yeah. It's just what can you say about them? Nico had a really bad first lap. I think he lost 4 or 5 positions.
Yeah.
And
where did he finish?
He finished P15, I think.
Yeah. P15. Yeah.
Just ahead of Joe and Lando, who were both having horrific races. So
Kevin was P13.
So yeah, it just wasn't a good race.
Like we said before, it's just like you're performing, but are you performing well?
No. And look, what can you do? No, they don't have the funding. I think.
No.
Yeah. Next year is going to be the telling for Haas. Yeah. And I think if they don't have a promising year next year, could they be in the range of selling the team? And Gene Haas has said he's not. He's fully in the team. He loves being in F1. But at some point,
You reach a point, don't you?
Yeah, you reach a point where it's just not happening.
Yeah.
And with so many buyers wanting to get into F1, Andretti and everyone like that,
Yeah.
it just
don't. You get offered enough, I think you would take it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's an F1 team, isn't it?
So,
yeah.
They need to perform.
They do.
Yeah.
But then we'll go on to AlphaTauri now. So we are getting slowly through.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think there's really much to say here.
There really isn't. And they just had poor race, poor qualifying. De Vries was running at the back. Yuki in P11, but yeah, you can't do much really.
No, I mean it was a shame really because we wanted to see De Vries up there somewhat. Because obviously I've watched him in Formula E and stuff when he was absolutely dominating Formula E, but just didn't see what that performance.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't obviously he performed and stuff, but I mean, where did he come?
De Vries was P14.
So we're back now. Just had to readjust. Well, we were checking the camera first of all, and second of all, Sam's just too tall for the camera, so we've had to angle it up a little bit so you can actually see his head. I mean, I'm just a bit small, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But
I was in frame, I think, for majority of it.
Okay, that's fine.
It's fine. Just starting with the podcast, we're going to get through these bits.
Okay, so AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Not the best race, as in it's just average, isn't it? Yeah. It's just.
And it is looking like that team is simply just for Red Bull juniors to get used to. It really is just looking like that at that point. And that's the only reason why Red Bull are keeping it. The development isn't there. They're not going to be pushing for P6, P5 in the constructors. They are just a back runner.
Isn't it?
But it does allow you to. The sole purpose is supplying Red Bull, and you can see good drivers when they put in good results, like a P7, P6 in AlphaTauri. You go, oh, he's a good driver. So. Yeah, it's just disappointing, isn't it?
It is.
So it was a good drive from Tsunoda, P11, especially with that car, and managed to keep Sargent behind at the end. So just solid.
Yeah, it's good. So we'll go on to Williams now.
Oh.
Wow, what a race.
Williams have pace. It's brilliant.
It was like you said earlier, Albon's first lap.
No, Sargent's first lap. Sargent's first lap was unbelievable. I mean, firstly in qualifying, so at the same time as Lando in Q1. Meaning that he got knocked out, but it was annoying. But I mean, he finished ahead of all the rookies in a Williams, showing that obviously Williams did have pace, and obviously Albon got through to Q2. I think it was P12. I think he qualified. But I mean, Albon had a fantastic race. I mean, of course there were retirements in front of him, but he would have got
P10 and
P10 and P12 as well.
So from Williams.
From a Williams, that is really, really solid. And it shows that all of their kind of, I wouldn't call it hype, but all of their kind of promise in testing is true. They've brushed out all of the problems that they had, and now they've just got a car where instead of having to fight problems, they can try and make the car better.
100%. And it's going to be so good to see them up there, fighting for the points. And get Williams the points because it was just such a drag, not are they in the points? No, they're not in the points.
It was always kind of a P12, a P11 from Albon. It was just disappointing. So I'm glad to see them there. It was a good start from James Vowles as well. So and look, people in the team have said, look, James, even though he's only been there for a while, he has made a difference. And look, after that race as well, apparently it wasn't good enough. He was kind of drilling into the team. He could have been in there for P9. I mean, Albon was running P8 for quite a while, I believe, as well, before kind of Bottas and Gasly got in the mix. But it will be very interesting to see where Williams are, and I'm very excited.
I'm excited, Right, so shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Right, so to wrap it up, Bahrain, first race of the 2023 season.
Solid race, entertaining, but obviously it wasn't to the hype of last season with Charles and Verstappen, but it was a solid race. It was a good race. And it's given promise to Aston Martin, because it's given promise to so many teams. But it's also showed the flaws of so many teams, and it will be interesting to see how they come back from this.
We've got so many more talking points in terms of next, more episodes, other episodes. We just to see where it goes, to see who comes out on top. I guess it's going to be.
It'll be very interesting.
Be really interesting.
I think we should just rule off Red Bull.
Always.
We should always just rule off Red Bull, and we should focus on the battles at hand, the battle for P5 and the battle for P2, and that'll be if we rule with that. This season's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So, This Sunday we've got Saudi.
Yeah.
Second Grand Prix of the season.
We should actually get a podcast out after the Grand Prix this time.
If I don't die in the process
we should be able
of a week, I'll be alright. But so thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed our little post-race chat. 2 week post-race
2 week post-race chat, yeah.
Still post-race chat.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week in the next episode.
Bye.